And we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Soriano. This is Rob Talks LA. I'm a realtor based out of Southern California. And today's guest is the awesome Kristy from Orange Coast Title. And today's topic is Prop 19. Now, before we get into Prop 19, we got to talk about Prop 13. So in the 1970s, people were losing their homes because they couldn't keep up with their property tax. So Prop 913 came into effect 1978, and basically what it was is it was passed because it set income to set the homeowners. It was set income homeowners to keep and limit your property taxes to 1% rate cap. Also limited annual increase taxable to 2%. So let's talk about Prop 19, Kristy. What does Prop 19 come into effect, and what is it?
Okay, well, there's two different dates, and the first one that's going to be changed is as we know it, the Prop 58, which is the parent-to-child transfer, where a parent can transfer their property to their child and they can acquire their tax base, and then also the Prop 193, which is the grandparent-to-grandchild transfer. These two are being changed tremendously. So, you want me to share right now how they're changing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Prop 58, parent-child. With Prop 58, you could transfer you give your property to your child or even sell your property to your child, and they can acquire your tax base. And there was no limit on the value of the property. You could have purchased your property for $200,000, and it could be valued at $2 million now, but you can transfer the property and your kids matter, even though it's $2 million, they can acquire your low tax base. With Prop 19, now they can only acquire up to $1 million in value without being reassessed.
Wow.
So let's say, for example, you have a home that you purchased for $200,000 back in the 80s, right? And you can turn around and you could sell it today for $1.1 million. So your child could acquire the tax base up to the $1 million. That additional $100,000 they get taxed on. So that's the difference. And the other thing about this proposition is you cannot acquire your parents' tax base on anything outside of primary. So no income property, no second homes, only the primary can they acquire the tax base. And Robert, they also have to end up calling that home their primary. The kids have to call it a primary residence in order to keep that tax base. And they have 1 year to file with the assessor's office the homeowner's exemption, declaring that it is their primary. Same thing goes for the grandparent to grandchild. Same rules apply. The one caveat with the grandparent to grandchild transfer that a lot of people don't know is that the parents in the middle must be deceased. So it goes through the bloodline, if you will. So you've got grandma, daughter, and grandson. Unfortunately, the daughter in the middle must have passed in order for the grandchild to come up in succession. A lot of people don't know that. And that goes for both parents. If the daughter in the middle, when she passed, she was divorced, then it goes directly to the grandson. But if the father is still in the picture, then there's no succession. The son-in-law actually would be the one to acquire the property, the tax base.
So this is huge. So what properties or what type of properties are affected with Prop 19?
Everything. Every type of real estate. Vacant land, like I said, vacation homes, commercial buildings, units, industrial, everything. It's the days of our children acquiring our tax base on everything besides primary is off the table. And again, like I said, Prop 19, parents-child, if the child is going to acquire the primary residence, they have to move in. So it's going to, kids still can acquire the property, but they're going to have to pay full market value on their taxes, unless, of course, they move into the subject property. And again, it had to be the primary of the parents. It can't be their second home in Palm Springs that the kids will say, okay, I could retire there. I could live there. It's got to be primary to primary.
And so let's say there's more than one property, and they move into their primary. The other properties, they have to pay taxes.
Right. So what it's going to do is probably going to open up the market a little bit with some inventory, because quite honestly, the kids are not going to be interested in paying the taxes, and the rents may not even support the tax bill. That's the new increase. So it's going to open up bring some new inventory into the market.
And not only not interested, I don't think, if let's say there's multiple properties, they're not going to be able to afford to pay the taxes on those properties.
Right. Yeah. You're correct.
All right. How will this affect seniors, severely disabled, disaster victims of wildfire and natural disaster?
See, so the parent-to-child initiative, that's bad news in a way. So no more of the bad news. Let's move to the good news. So Prop 6090, which is also encompassed under Prop 19. Prop 6090 is where if you're 55 or over, you can sell your primary residence, take your tax base with you, and to another property within that same county or within 10 other outside counties that participate. So that's Prop 6090. 60 is staying within the same county. 90 is going from one county to another. So you can take that tax base to your replacement property. But the thing is, there were a lot of restrictions before Prop 19, which means one of the biggest ones is that if you were going to sell your primary for $700,000, you have a tax base of $350,000, but you want to move closer to your kids and their price point is $900,000. You wouldn't be able to do that because why? The law states it's got to be the same or less. But that's off the table now. They've lifted that restriction. You can buy as high as you want. You also were only able to do this one time in your life. So let's say, for example, my husband and I sell our big house and we want to downsize into a condo on the beach, and we can do that. But let's say with that we could do that now because the condo on the beach is going to be more than what we are selling our primary residence for. That's inland, so that's great, right? But with Prop 6090, being that I could only do that one time, let's say I do move down to a smaller unit and I find out that we've got horrible neighbors. We've got party animals on the street. There's no parking. The crime is up, and I want to get out of here. I want to get out of Dodge. I only use my tax base one time. So now, guys, you can use it up to 3 times. So it really opens up the opportunity for people. Not only so it's your people 55 and over, which, by the way, Robert, that's insulting that they call them seniors. So, I had to say that. Also, it's people who are permanently and severely disabled, and I do mean permanently, meaning there's no way that they can reform. They're going to be like that for the rest of their life. Also, it's for people who have wildfire disaster and also of contamination. So they've added more, and it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 25 and be, permanently and severely wounded and disabled, and you can take your tax base with you up to 3 times. And same thing with the people that are victims of wildfire and contamination. There's no age bracket. So sorry about that noise, you guys.
No worries.
There's no age limit, I should say.
Okay. How will this affect parent to child and grandparent to grandchild transfers?
So the parent to child transfers, in fact, it's actually already happened. It's too late. The last day to record a document in the state of California to transfer a property to your child was today. So because
February 16th.
Right, but what's Monday? It's President's Day.
You're right.
So, just to add, insult to injury and salt into that wound. Not only that, 2 of the counties here in Southern California are closed today. So we also lost today. Orange County and Riverside, both were closed. So that's 2 days that we lost, that the consumer, that homeowners lost to transfer their property to their kids. To me, that was something that wasn't very well thought out, but I don't know if there was they had a choice.
It wasn't. It wasn't promoted.
It wasn't promoted, and I mean, It wasn't promoted. The only thing that was promoted during the primaries, or during when they were when all these propositions were getting all the commercials, it was all about Prop 6090. They didn't talk about the limitations for parents, parents, child, and grandparent to grandchild. It's really heart-wrenching, because I've talked to so many people on the phone, Robert, because I'm a very hands-on title rep. So my phone rings off. It has been ringing off the hook with agents who are in this predicament themselves, and they want to transfer their properties to their kids. I got a call yesterday afternoon. It was about this time of the day, and I had to tell the agent, it's too late. You had to have had your documents processed and submitted by now. So yeah, but remember the good news, Prop 6090. So they call Prop 6090, which is going to be Prop 19, all under one proposition. They call this the realtor measure. And that is because they know that people who have been just staying in the same place for all this time because they didn't want to give up that tax base. There's no way that I'm not giving up my tax base. Now they can take it with them, Robert, wherever they want to go. So it's going to really open up the marketplace, and we're going to have a great summer because of it.
I think a lot of people were hesitant to use their Prop 13 because, like you said, it was only one time, and many didn't want to downsize. Many wanted to go have an upgrade. Right. But so my question, real quick, is if they get something that's pricier, they just pay the difference?
Correct. They do a formula. So they take the difference. So let's say like that $1.1 million home. Remember, I was saying the tax base was $400. They sold the house for $700. They bought up 1.1. So that's $100,000 over the million. They would add that to the current tax base. So their taxes would go up to $500,000.
Okay. Bottom line. What's the bottom line?
Bottom line is this: if you were hoping to transfer properties to your kids where they could acquire your tax base, that today was the last day to record deeds in most counties, because Monday the recorder's offices are all closed. But with Proposition 6090, the good news is there's so many people that it can help. Adding the people that were victims of fire and contamination. Remember all that about the gas smell in that community, and they figured out that that the stuff had actually soaked into the soil. All of those people can sell their property and move and take their tax base with them. It doesn't matter what their age is, and it's in the people that are wounded, permanently and severely disabled. It's going to help a lot of people, and I'm looking forward to it. Because pretty soon I'll be in that age bracket. So I'm looking forward to that. I have to say, I'm sorry that I can't transfer my properties to my kids without them taking my tax base. But you know what? It's all about me. Right?
That's right. That's right.
So,
Kristy, do you have anything else to add?
Oh, wow. I will say this: for people that have transferred their property to their kids recently, or even maybe someone has passed away and their property was in a trust, and they have their beneficiaries in that trust are their kids, and then they sell that property. The one thing that oftentimes happens, Robert, is that the kids, when they sell the property, they don't realize that they have to get a form into the assessor's office letting them know, hey, this was a parent-child transfer, so that they don't get reassessed and get a supplemental tax bill. And the thing is I think because it's an assessor's form, I think there's a huge misconception that that's an escrow responsibility to fill out that paperwork, because it does look like a very common form that we have in all sale transactions called a preliminary change of ownership form.
Right.
That again, yeah. And so the Prop 58, Prop 193, grandparent, grandchild, parent's child, looks a lot like a preliminary change of ownership form. So I have heard from agents or even sellers saying, why didn't escrow complete these forms for us? This is an escrow form. And it absolutely is not. It must be signed by the seller or the representative of the seller, meaning if it was in a trust, the successor trustee needs to sign it and mail it into the assessor's office with a full copy of the trust. And it asks for very personal information on the seller. It'll actually ask for their social security number, date of death, because you have to prove to the assessor's office that this was a transfer to the beneficiaries through that trust because the owner of the trust passed away. And that occurs the moment a person dies. So guys, think about this. You know people that have their property in a trust, and you know that the owner of the trust passed away maybe 3 years ago, and the property's still in the trust, and the kids are just going along their merry way, maybe even living in the property or renting it out. Then they go and they put it on the market to sell. The county sees a deed signed by someone with a different name than the original trustee selling the property. Right then, boom, and they record an affidavit of death of trustee. The assessor's office sees, wait a minute, our owner died 3 years ago. So the kids are going to get a supplemental tax bill from date of death to date of sale.
Wow.
So it happens all the time. And so if anyone listening, or people that you know, received a supplemental tax bill because you sold, or someone you know sold their parents' property through a trust, they only have a certain period of time to get on the phone with the assessors and appeal that. Okay, so really important. Don't ignore the supplemental tax bill. I've had it before, Robert, where the kids called their agent and, hey, we got a supplemental tax bill for the property of mom's that we sold. And the agents 2 different times told them, oh, no, throw that away. That goes to the buyer.
And I'll just say this to the audience. If you have any questions, and doesn't matter if you work with me, I'm more than happy to just answer your questions and help you out. And then if you guys have any questions, as far as what Kristy just talked about, her information, it's on the screen. Give her a call. I'm always calling her for questions. She's always answering her phone. And if she doesn't answer her phone, she'll call back within an hour at the latest.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to end with this. It's a seller's market. If you're thinking of selling, this is the time to sell. We have 20 buyers to 1 seller right now. And primarily when a property goes on the market, within 2 days, you have at the very least 14 offers. No kidding. All of them above asking. Kristy, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being in the show. And that's it. Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.